In the year 2007. My name is Chris Abercrombie. I'm with the Smoky Valley Historical Association, and this is another oral history we're recording with people who have maybe not necessarily grown up, but at least been in the Smoky Valley for a long time. Today we're delighted that Paul Dahlberg has agreed to join us, and Paul actually is a lifetime resident of Lindsborg in the Smoky Valley, outside of a brief period in the Korean War back in the early 50s.
Right.
And my name is Chris Abercrombie. Again, I'm on the board of the Smoky Valley Historical Association. And Paul, first of all, where we're sitting is someplace that I would say if at least publicly, you're passionate about anything, it's patriotism, Americanism, and the American Legion. I know that this is a very important part of your life. We're sitting in the Legion Hall here in Lindsborg. This building was built probably in the late 60s, is it?
We moved in here in the 19th of March of 1967.
67, okay. And before that, the Legion Club had been down at the Brunswick Hotel. Right.
Right.
And you, of course, were in which branch of the service?
Army.
During the Korean
War.
Right. Well, let's go back to the very beginning, though. Do you have any idea at all how the Dahlbergs arrived in Lindsborg, how the family got here?
Yeah, well, you want me to go back to Sweden?
Yeah, that'd be great.
They left Sweden in 1854. And by the way, when I was in Sweden in 1999, we were out to the home place from where they left and came to America for a better life. And if I remember correctly, I think it took 90 days to get over here from the time they boarded a ship on the Baltic Sea side of the lower Sweden. And I don't know where all went, but there was stops and stops and stops and stops coming over here. So they came to this area up in, I think, Illinois, and kind of settled in there for a while, and then they came on to Randolph, Kansas, and settled there. And I don't know what year that was, but that's where my dad was born, and that's where his brothers and sisters were born, at Randolph.
So that probably would have been after the Civil War, then, is when they. Okay.
Yeah, and then they moved. Grandpa sold his farm and moved to Lindsborg because he had a daughter or a stepdaughter that married a Holmberg, A.J. Holmberg, Alfred Holmberg, and they farmed out here east of town. So for that reason, they came to Lindsborg and bought a house over here on Jackson Street, and that house was still standing, and that was 1910. 1910.
And you mentioned your father, and then were there other brothers and sisters?
Yeah, he had one brother and 4 sisters.
So are any of them still living at all, or no?
They're all gone.
Okay.
They're all gone.
All right. And then you were telling me earlier that you have a sister who was 4 years older than you.
Yeah. Elaine was born in 1924 and passed away in 2001. Yeah.
Now, did she leave a family or anything?
No. She did marry at the age of 45, but no family.
Sure.
Yeah.
And you then, as I said earlier, have lived in Lindsborg all of your life.
Right.
Having been born in 1928.
28. 2 blocks from here.
Okay.
At a house.
Is it the one at First and State Streets?
No. 400 McKinley, North McKinley.
400 North McKinley. I'm going to write that down.
There was a house on that corner, and both Elaine and I were born there in the home. And
that's your family home?
Yeah.
Yeah, okay, it wasn't a hospital.
Oh, no, it was our family home.
Right.
At that corner, and she was in 24 and I was in 28. Yeah.
Now, your mother and father both were deaf mutes, isn't that correct?
They were both,
How did they happen to come across each other and meet and get married?
Okay, they both attended the School for the Deaf, Kansas School for the Deaf at Olathe, and that's where they met. And sometime after they left school, they eloped and went to Manhattan, Kansas, and got a hold of a justice of the peace and got married.
I'll be darned. Huh.
Yeah.
And then they started having babies, and the two of you came out hearing and everything fine.
Well, yeah. See, Mother was born deaf. Dad had a something, an ear problem. And at that particular time, the nearest doctor was a veterinarian. And I guess in those days they did that once in a while. Go to a veterinarian, and he did keep some things for human beings. That's my understanding. So they took him to this veterinarian, and they gave him something for his ears, and he just burned them out. So he became totally deaf.
Mm-hmm.
And mother was born deaf. Yeah.
Well, now in the less enlightened years, even in my lifetime, I remember your dad being referred to as Dummy Dahlberg, and how unfortunate that is.
Yeah, that was really unfortunate, because that really...
And I don't think it was meant as a put down, it was just the name.
Yeah.
Because my parents were very respectable people, but that's the name they used for your father.
Yeah.
And what was his real name?
Clarence.
Clarence, okay. And your mother, was she also a Swede?
No, she's German and Swiss. She was born in the Olathe, Kansas area, Wheaton, Kansas, which is a little town west of Olathe, north and east of Westmoreland. Yeah.
Now, how did your family get along here then, as far as employment is concerned and income?
No, it was tough. It was tough. When they moved to Lindsborg, and Dad learned the shoe cobbling business when he was in school, and he was an excellent. They tell me he was an excellent shoe cobbler. He did a great job, but Dad had a little difficulty managing finances. Maybe he wasn't charging enough. I don't know, but he went along at that for quite a number of years. And by the way, at that time there were two other shoe cobblers. There were three shoe cobblers in this town at that time. Lysell and Nordstrom, and Dad. So Dad eventually had to give it up. And after that, it was just tough for him to get a job. It just really was.
Now, were you still a youth when he gave up his cobbling business?
Yeah, I think he gave that up probably in the late 30s.
Okay.
Before World War II.
So you would have been maybe 10 years old or so.
Yeah. See, I remember a couple things that took place in 1934, 35, in which case I was only 6 or 7. Yeah.
Now, did you find that as you became older that you and your sister would have to communicate for your parents? Or did you kind of take on that added responsibility in the family?
Well, for example, if there was a group of people sitting around visiting, and Dad would quite often ask, well, what are they talking about? What are they talking about? So we'd try to tell him, so he would understand what's going on.
And did he know American Sign Language, or sign language? Did he sign, and you learned it also?
Oh yeah. In fact, the neighbors used to tell me as I grew up, I got a little older, they would say, as a little youngster, I would always talk on my fingers, and they thought that was so neat. At my age, before I could really talk verbally.
You learned sign language because that's what your parents taught you.
Oh yeah. But then I had an advantage over my sister, because as she was 4 years older, Grandpa Dahlberg did a lot of teaching to her to help her. Then when I came along 4 years later, well, I just naturally picked it up.
Sure.
Yeah.
Sure. And so at any rate, we're to the late 30s now, and you are still in school, probably 10 years old, 5th, 6th grade, something like that.
Oh yeah.
Attending school here. What do you remember about being in school here at the Lindsborg School District?
Okay, I remember two things that really stand out. Because in this day and age, there's no way that teachers can put a hand on a student. They cannot put their hands on a student. You see what I'm saying?
Right.
Okay. And I have a problem with that. And I know other people do too, from the standpoint of physical abuse. But let me tell you, when I was in the 1st grade, and not very far into the school year, I had a front row seat in the classroom, and I kept looking clear to the back of the room, because there was a cute little gal by the name of Ramona Axelson back there, and I couldn't keep my eyes off of her. And finally, Miss Ward came to me one day. She said, "You got to quit doing this, because you're causing the students to be looking at you, because you're looking back all the time." But anyway, what it boiled down to, one day, she told me to come out from my desk and come up to her at the table, or her desk. And she told me to put my hand on the table, on her desk, which I did. And she told me to put her hands up, palm up, I'm sorry. Put her palm up, and when she did, she whacked me with the ruler. Not hard, but it embarrassed me. It embarrassed me that she did this in front of the class, but I did something wrong. She was trying to correct the situation. Sure. And the other one was when I was in 7th grade. In 7th grade in the old grade school, which had a basement, and we were up on the 2nd floor of the building, and something happened at recess. I can just about name the names of the other students. Something happened at recess outside, I don't remember what. Newt Nelson, the 7th grade teacher, made us 4 or 5 guys go into the basement. And he had a wood paddle about that long. And he started with one of the boys, and he had to go along and whack the other 3 or 4, whatever it was. And he went to the next one, and he had to whack the other 3 or 4 with that. And you know, that taught me a lesson. It didn't hurt. It didn't hurt, but it was something that taught us a lesson. And I think all of us would say the same thing. And as I look back, I didn't hold any grudge against that teacher for doing what he did. He didn't do the paddling, the students did. But he was behind it, and I think it did some good. And as far as I'm concerned, I think it's a shame. And I don't have children, and I know, I'm sure that people who have children don't want their children touched, but really, when it gets right down to it, it takes a little bit of that so they become disciplined.
Sure.
I can't see any other way. And from some of the things that I see in Walmarts and some of those stores, those kids are totally out of control. So anyway.
Yeah, but it's
so
as far as parents are concerned, though, anymore, it's you have to be very, very careful, because some parents take offense at that, and they sue school districts and everything else. Now, in my day, and I know your day, the teacher was always right.
Absolutely.
If the teacher ever had to call the parent, the teacher was right.
Absolutely.
Not
Absolutely.
me.
Absolutely. And the teacher is right.
Yeah. Right.
But now, in this day and age, the parents challenge him.
Now, these episodes you're talking about happened in the old school building.
That's the old school building.
Yeah, the one that was there at State Street and Washington. The original, what was called the Lindsborg Public School.
Right.
At one point in time.
Right.
And then by the time you were in school, the high school was on the same block at the other end.
Right, with the gym in the middle.
So you went to high school there.
Yeah.
Did you play any sports?
No, I didn't.
No,
I didn't.
Any other activities during high school that?
Not really. I played in the band, of course. I played an alto horn, which was in the French horn section. Yeah.
Did you get along okay with the other students, or were they kind of down on you because of your circumstances, or?
At times things would happen. I think it affected my sister more than it did me, because I can remember certain things that kind of happened. That the students at that age, they have a tendency to be rude at times. And I think there were things that were said and done to my sister that really bothered her. Not so much for me. Yeah.
Okay. So.
And it's just something that kids do.
Right. Right.
Since we lived on the other side of the tracks.
Yeah. Well, if my math is right, you got out of high school then after World War II, or it would have been about.
Well, no, our class graduated in '46.
Yeah. So after the war was over, and so you would have been 18. What did you do in the period of time then between high school and having joined the Army and going to Korea?
Rodney Milling Company had a mill here, flour mill here, and a lot of the younger guys worked there because they were desperate for help. Right after the war, they were desperate for help. Yeah.
So you went in the milling business?
Yeah, went into the milling business. Sure. And was there until I went into the Army.
Now, did you join the Army, or were you drafted, or how did that work out?
No, I didn't. I didn't join. But I might say that the World War II draft was cut off in April of 1946, and there were a lot of my my friends, like I can think of Armand Johnson, Robert O'Rourke, Norman Sugar, Harlan Sugar, they all enlisted I think they all went into the Army, and they ended up in Japan with the occupation forces in Japan. And so I missed the draft when they enlisted. I missed the draft because they closed it out in April of 46.
And you were born in what month?
June.
In June.
So I turned 18 in June. Okay, so when the Korean conflict broke out in 1950, guess what?
You were top of the list.
I was on. That's when I got my, what is it, your friends and neighbors from President Truman at that time?
Right. And so you joined the Army. Where did you have your basic?
Well, I didn't join, I was drafted.
Well, drafted.
Yeah.
You were put in the Army.
Yep.
Where did you have your basic training?
Camp Polk, Louisiana.
Okay. Did you go straight to Korea from there?
Yes. Well, no, I'm sorry. No. We went overseas to Japan.
Okay. All right. And then over to Korea.
Yeah. We spent from April to November at the northern island of Hokkaido. And by the way, you mentioned J.J. Walters earlier. He was in our same division, as was LaRue Olson and Marquette.
So you knew those two guys?
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, okay.
Oh, yeah.
All right.
Yeah.
Well, that's interesting. Some hometown folk right there.
And another guy by the name of Tom Birdsong, who is deceased, but we all went in together.
Okay.
Yeah, and ended up in that division.
Well, when did you get out of the Army then?
In October of 52.
Okay.
So I went in on the 18th of October and got out the 20th of October. So 2 years and 2 days.
So you get back to Lindsborg.
Yeah.
What do you do from there?
Okay, my sister was working for Bell Telephone Company in Wichita earlier, and then over to Hutchinson. So she was in Hutchinson when I got out of the service. And a couple guys that was in their engineering department suggested to her that I come, because I didn't want to go back to Rodney. That's hard work. That's hard work. It was okay when I was younger.
Sure.
But I applied for a job with Bell Telephone Company. We call it Ma Bell, and worked there for just only 2 or 3 months. And
that can be pretty tough work too for the phone company.
Well, I was in cable splicing, and then also at the same time Hutchinson was converting to dial.
Ah, okay.
So it was very interesting. But what happened was, when I filled out my application for the job, one thing they asked is, well, do you have any back problems or whatever? And I said, yeah. I had a back problem before I went into the service, and once in a while it bothers me a little bit. Well, I went to work for them in November, and in January they wanted me to go to the hospital to have X-rays done, and I did. And they sent the X-rays to a bone specialist in Wichita, and he come back and says, oh, he's got a bad back. He has got a bad back. And telephone people, they just didn't want to hire anybody that had physical problems because they could end up with a lawsuit or a workers' comp claim or whatever. So they let me go, and I hated that. I really did, because I liked the work I was doing. It was fun. And a friend of my sister's in Wichita was working for an insurance supervisory council organization, and he resigned his job at the same time I got terminated, and he suggested I apply for this job, which I did. And I took the job on a trial basis and retired after 37 and a half years.
My goodness. So what was the name of the company, Paul?
Well,
did it change?
It was the National It is the National Council on Compensation Insurance, NCCI, based in New York, and they had a branch office in Topeka known as Kansas Compensation Rating Bureau. Has to do totally with workers' comp.
And so you were on the road a lot then? Did you travel Kansas or the Midwest?
No, just in Kansas. I went out of state at times to train other inspectors, but my work was entirely in Kansas, yeah.
So you would follow up on workman's comp cases and make sure that they were legitimate and paid properly?
To make sure that the insurance company and through the agent was properly writing the policies that they issue for employers.
Ah, okay.
Yeah. And then we also established rates on workers' comp.
Sure.
Yeah, and that's was handled through our New York office, yeah.
And, but you didn't go to college for any of this?
No.
You picked this up as you went?
Okay, this is what was so interesting. When I went to apply for the job, the manager said, you know, I've had several people apply for this job. And after he said, okay, we're going to hire you then. After he said that, he said, you know, you're just the kind of person we're looking for because these other people knew everything.
Oh.
You don't know anything. And I told him that insurance was totally Greek to me, and it was. He said, that's what we want. We want to train you the way we want you, and that's exactly what they did. Yeah. And I, in turn, trained inspectors in other states.
Sure.
So, yeah, it was interesting.
At what point after Korea did you join the American Legion?
I was discharged, as I say, the 20th of October, and immediately thereafter, and here again, because so many of my friends were members of the Legion that were in the service before I was. So I joined immediately. So I'm a 56-year member of the Legion. 56 years.
And as I said, it's become quite a passion for you, especially in your retirement.
Oh, yeah.
Tell us a little bit about this post, the Emil Pinkel post here in Lindsborg.
Okay. Yeah, back in the 30s, when the old Riverside Cafe was down by the old bridge, there was a ball diamond there. And I remember going down there as a youngster and watching the drum and bugle corps. We had the bass drum in there in the other room. We had the small snare drum in the other room.
That was sponsored by the Legion?
Oh, yes.
Yeah, okay.
And you had to be a daughter or son of a Legion member to play in it. And they got a bunch of them in there in the picture. So I remember those things, and they had a drum and bugle corps in those days. And eventually, I don't know what happened, maybe they ran out of kids because of the fact that you had to be a son or a daughter of an American Legion member.
Okay.
So the American Legion, I remembered as being upstairs in the old fire station. Now that's where Mark Flynn lives.
Ah, yes.
That building. The post office was downstairs.
Right.
The fire station was on the east side of the building, and then the American Legion was upstairs. That's where I first remembered. Then right after the war, 1940, I think it was in 46, that they bought the Brunswick. And I've heard a figure, this sticks in my mind, that they gave $18,000 for it, for the Brunswick. And of course, in the beginning, it was a hotel when they bought it, of course, and in the beginning, they continued to operate it as a hotel.
Oh.
And then eventually converted it to apartments. And I can still see old Banner Poulsen working there because they were hauling dirt out of the basement of the building. What they did, they carved out an area down there to have a club room.
Sure. I remember when the club room was down there.
And unfortunately, they called it the Hole. And I thought that was a terrible designation, but they did. They called it the Hole. So they were there. They finally gave up the apartments because the building up above was pretty bad. They gave up the apartments, and therefore the only thing that was there was the American Legion itself.
But I can remember in grade school having dances.
Yeah.
Down there.
Yeah, in the dining area hall.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Because you mentioned that gymnasium that was between the two buildings.
Yeah, right.
That was all we had available for it. And I don't think we ever had a party in there. I think that this would have been maybe in 6th and 7th grade. We had our parties down at the
Brunswick.
At the Legion. We called it the Legion.
Yeah.
And so I have fond memories of being down there. Of course, then in my 8th grade year, we were able to use the new Soderstrom school, but that's a different story. We'll get to that some other day. But so they buy the Brunswick, and then you said this building was built in '67.
Yeah, right.
So as a result, the Legion was spent about 20 years. About 20 years or so was down there.
They were there. Yeah, 40s. Yeah. Just about.
Where the Brunswick.
Right.
Which is now a private residence.
Right.
Basically, yeah.
Right.
This is named for Emil Pinkel.
Right.
Who was Emil Pinkel? Why did he get the honor? There were more than one Lindsborg
Okay.
son killed in World War II, or World War I,
Oh, the only one that I know of. Oh, well, wait, yeah. the
or
only
died
one-
during World War
Yeah.
I. They may have died of diseases or something, but
Yeah,
I think there were maybe 3 or 4 that I'm aware of. But at any rate, he was killed in action.
he was the first one.
Okay.
He was the first one, and he was killed in action and buried in France. Years later, and I have no idea when it was, years later, they, what do they call it? They
Exhumed the body?
exhumed,
Uh-huh.
yeah, and brought it back to this country.
Oh.
And he's buried out here.
Okay.
And we have the little pieces of silver off of his casket.
Oh, my.
Because when they dug it up, why, I guess things fell apart.
Yeah.
But they did say these pieces of silver that identified the casket, and that was sent back, and we had those pieces in the other room.
A lot of history in this building.
Yeah.
You were mentioning that this Legion Club was founded or got the charter in 1921.
Yeah, December 10th, 1921.
And I'm going to put you a little bit on the spot. You might have to go over and get the plaque, but who are some of the charter members? You want to go over and get that plaque?
They're right up there.
Yeah. Well, okay, why don't you go?
Oh, okay, okay.
Can you get it off the wall?
Yeah.
Or Jay, maybe
Yeah.
you can. Can you give us that plaque with the original charter members? You can let it run. We'll talk while we're,
I have
or
to,
go over and get it and bring it to us. I'm sorry.
I hope I'm right on that, because, yeah, those are the charter members up there on the
Well,
right
Jay will
hand.
bring the,
Yeah,
bring it
those
over
are the
to us.
charter
Yeah.
members up there.
Jay will bring it over
Okay.
and we'll see who of these people are
Yeah.
names that we still
Yeah,
remember, or maybe know their
To the right,
relatives.
yeah, there you go, Jay. And I pretty much knew all of them as a youngster.
Mm-hmm.
Uh-huh.
Here we go. And Paul, you might hold that up to the camera, and then
Yes,
we can
uh-huh.
look through the names here. We have Paul Gustafson.
Yep, Paul Gustafson.
Now, Elmer Peterson.
Elmer Peterson.
Elmer Pete, he was at the bank. He worked with my dad. Didn't he? Wasn't he in the insurance? Elmer Peterson?
Yeah, insurance, right. I knew
he
it
was
was
at the bank
insurance.
at one
Yeah,
point,
right. He married the Hultquist lady.
And who are some of these other people on here now? We have Levines, I see,
Okay,
and
now
Runback.
this is Elmer Peterson. Well, that's the one you just mentioned.
Yeah.
Okay, this is Roy Bankston. He's the one that at one time operated the theater downtown.
Okay.
And he had
All
two
right.
daughters, June and Joanne, and they eventually, somewhere along after the war, they moved to California. And then,
Okay.
Rudolph Lindstrom, I don't know him. Reginald Reggie Runbeck, he was one of the Runbeck brothers.
Okay. And they had the mill.
They had the mill.
Yeah.
Hen-
Jerry Peterson? Is that
Is that
Jerry?
what that
or
is? It looks-
Harry?
I think it's Henry.
Henry Peterson.
Yeah. He worked at Rodney Milling Company for years, by the way, and he lived on North Main Street where Robert and Lois Peterson lived. That last house on the east side of North Main Street. That's where Henry lived. Arthur Wallerstedt, I know of him but didn't know him. Frank Carlson, that's the guy that had the lumber yard. That's
Okay.
where that flag came from we were talking about. Joseph Hinman. Yeah,
Hinman.
Joseph Hinman. He had a son,
Junie.
Junie. They also called him Juicy.
Okay.
They also called him Juicy Hinman.
Juicy
And he
Hinman.
had a sister, Elizabeth. Yeah. Art Runbeck, he's a brother to another Runbeck
Right.
brother. Fritz Levine, he was kind of a contractor here in the town. He was a brother to. I'm thinking of Fritz Carlson. Fritz Levine, they had the grocery store, and David Levine, they had the grocery
Right.
store, Levine Grocery Store.
F.W. Nelson.
I don't know who that is.
Okay. Reuben
Reuben
Nelson.
Nelson. I wonder if that's the guy that had the N&N tire shop or the John Deere dealership at one time downtown. I think it might be him. David Elving. Yeah. He had a son. In fact, his daughter lives here, Betty Peterson.
Oh, okay.
Betty Peterson, that's his daughter.
Okay.
And he had a son, Richard, who moved back here after he retired, but both he and his wife are deceased.
Sure.
Dick
Okay.
Elving.
Well, we're talking about some old history here. We're
Yes.
1921, that's a good 80,
Yeah.
85 years ago now.
Yeah. Right. Right.
And the post is still going,
You bet.
doing well.
You bet. So that's the situation on those names.
Tell us about some of the activities today that the Post has. You were talking about the bingo games, for instance, earlier. What are some of the other activities? Tell us, for the camera, about the bingo on Friday nights, how long the Post has been doing that?
We started bingo just before we left the Brunswick.
Oh, okay.
The idea was we just felt like we needed to get into something else besides the bar facility in the hole.
Mm-hmm.
As a fundraiser, and we started bingo. We paid $5 per game, and now we pay $30 and $35, and then we got the big jackpots.
Mm-hmm.
But anyway, we started there, and we had this, and we still got it up in the attic. It's a hand cranking thing with little wooden balls. That's what we used. That's what we used to crank out the numbers, and the people had the hard cards. We were able to get 600 hard cards, of which we still have like maybe 450 of those cards. But we had the old hard cards, and you just slide the thing. It didn't use corn, of course, like they used to, but the numbers were covered by sliding a piece of plastic, and that's how we got started. And then we moved out here, and it's grown and grown and grown till we now have this great console right here. That's the bingo caller's console.
Okay.
And then we have these monitors up here, that TV set up here.
Uh-huh.
That we have a TV camera there.
Okay.
So it photographs the ball that you called, and it shows it up here on the monitor.
Oh, wow. Okay.
So we have two monitors in this room and have a monitor in the other room.
Uh-huh.
And then these boards up here, they show the numbers that have been called, and over here to the left, the caller puts in what game is going to be played, whether it's a blackout or a single bingo or double bingo or whatever.
Sure.
But bingo has really been good to us, and we try to be friendly and nice with the people, and we're that way. We recognize people. I have a whole list that I've accumulated over the years as to who has anniversaries and who has birthdays. When they have birthdays, we sing happy birthday to them, recognize them on their anniversary, and we just, like I say, this couple from Hutchinson, they like to come here because people are friendly.
And you said that this is a fundraising event then that makes money for the Legion.
Yeah.
So in addition to having a lot of fun, you guys are making some money for them.
Exactly. It gives some of the people in town as a night out. And I keep telling some of the older ladies, I said, it keeps the older ladies off the streets on Friday night too. But it's let's see, the other night we didn't think we'd have a lot here because the weather was so hot, but we had 48 people here, and that's fine. That's fine with us. We had a good evening. And it's a fun thing. The auxiliary has lunch. They have sandwiches and cake and coffee and soda pop. The people will take about a 10-minute intermission between the two sessions, and
Sure.
they enjoy that. It's a fun time.
Now, I know that another activity during the year is the Avenue of Flags for Memorial Day weekend.
Right.
And you do ceremonies not only at the local cemetery, but at other cemeteries in the area, right?
Right.
Yeah.
And
where else do you go? What other cemeteries?
Salinsburg and this area.
All right.
And we started doing that in about 1964 when Melvin Hakestrand was commander. I think that was the first year that we did that, 64 or 65. And that'd be 43 years ago? And we've done that every year. And the people in the Salinsburg community and the Assyria community really appreciate this. But on the other hand, we have quite a number of people that are members from that area. Lindsborg Post takes in Assyria, Fallen, Smolin, and the Salinsburg area. So it's really great. They really appreciate it.
And anytime there's a need for a color guard, whether it's a Hillingsfest parade or any other activity, the Legion is always there and being counted, right?
Yeah.
Now, one of your specialties, Paul, you're the go-to guy in Lindsborg and maybe even in a wider area as to the care and the ultimate disposal of the American flag and the proper display of the American flag. That's been a passion of yours also over the years. How did you happen to get interested in the flag and you know, the learning the rules and how to do it right?
Well, in Lindsborg, in so many cases, you see the American flag displayed along with the flag of the country of Sweden. And you have to be awful careful in order not to do things that is disrespectful to the Swedish flag because it's being flown along with the American flag. And not only that, but the American flag being flown with whatever else. I just saw that downtown a while ago. You're looking at the place of business from the street, and they've got the American flag here and something else over here that should be this way. The American flag is always displayed to the right.
To the right.
Yeah.
Okay.
So I just saw that, and I'm going to stop by and say something to Barbara.
Okay.
But you know, it's just people are not into realizing that there are rights and wrongs with the display of the American flag along with whatever else. And I think the first, now that I think about it, I think the first thing that really caught my eye, and this has been many years ago, in front of the Sun Saying Art Gallery. I happened to go by there one day, and they got those two flagpoles out in front. Well, they had the American flag in the wrong position. And I went in there and told them about it. And you know, after that, it seemed to be something that I would keep an eye out for. But it's something that I just got interested in, and kind of keep an eye out for those things, and because people need to know that with the display of the American flag, along with something else, whatever it might be.
And also, periodically, the Legion provides a disposal service for old, tattered, and soiled flags.
Right. I get lots of phone calls. They either bring it by, or I go and pick them up. I think maybe someday we might put in a drop box out here, because McPherson Legion does that, and they're saying you'd be surprised how many people drop flags off in that box. So then we keep them, and we give them the proper disposal ceremony. Then usually do this on Veterans Day.
Okay.
Yeah, November 11th.
So you make a ceremony out of it.
Yeah, and we do this after they do the Veterans Day activity at the school.
What is the proper way to dispose of the flag?
Okay, it's not a celebration where you get up and hoop and holler and everything else like the flag burners do, you know, as a means of being disrespectful. We start off. We have our post colors out there, the American flag and the American Legion emblem banner, and outside here, and we open up with a little prayer. And some other things are said among the officers, and then we start burning the flags. We have a fire going, and we just start burning the flags, and that's the proper way to do it. It's very quiet. It's very quiet.
Isn't there some preparation involved, though, of the flag itself before you burn it?
You know, they tell me that what you're really supposed to do is to take a flag and cut all the stripes apart.
And you guys don't do that?
We don't do that. That would be a terrible. Most everybody does this, and this is proper. This is not being disrespectful to the American flag.
But the burning is the proper way to do it, is the proper way to get rid of the flag.
Yeah, don't throw it in the trash. It'll be taken to the landfill.
Nope.
No, bring it to the American Legion, and we will dispose of it properly.
Okay.
You bet.
Is there anything I've missed? Anything we have about your life that we haven't talked about?
Well, I'm going to tell you a little bit.
Okay.
I don't want this to be taken as I'm bragging. I just want to tell you this because of what I have been involved with the American Legion. So having become a member in 1952, in 1966 and 67, when we built this facility and moved in here, I just happened to be commander of the post at that time. That was so then in 69, I took an office in the 5th District of the American Legion, which is 5 counties: McPherson, Harvey, Butler, Sedgwick, and Sumner. Those 5 counties are known as the 5th District. I took an office. And the next year, then, I became commander of the 5th District. So that would have been in 69, 70. And I've held a number of, in fact, I'm on a committee now on the state level, and have been for many years. It's scholarship and oratorical contest committee. But so in 1969-70, then I became commander of the 5th District. In 1976, I was appointed adjutant and finance officer of the 5th, this 5-county-wide 5th District. That's the secretary's job as well as the finances combined. And I retired from that job here a couple years ago after 29 years. I had that job 29 years. I had the opportunity and the high honor to be state vice commander of the American Legion in 1975 and 76. And I don't know what effect my being vice commander, because I was in charge of membership, what effect that had on the total membership in the state of Kansas, but from 1971 on, that's the highest membership year they've had. In 1975 and 76. Okay. When I was vice commander. But that was a high honor. And I had a lot of people trying to get me to go for commander, but my job was, and that's a very demanding, commander's a very demanding position. You're furnished a car and you're on the go all the time. I had a job that I had to do, and I couldn't do that. But I was asked by many people. Sure. And I felt really highly honored to do that. Speaking of membership, what challenges do you see for the American Legion in the coming years? What we're hoping is that as a lot of these veterans, as they become older, we're hoping that they get to the point where they realize that it is important to belong to the American Legion. What you're saying is you don't have many 20 and 30-year-old members in here. We have a difficult time getting them to join. We've got quite a few young members, got quite a few of them, but we need a lot more, because our total membership internationally, because we have American Legion organizations in 8 foreign countries, but internationally the American Legion is just going down, and they're doing all they can to try to convince the younger people that they really need to join the Legion. The Legion does a lot in the interest of veterans and veterans' dependents. You want to take a little sip of water? Sure. But they do a lot. And I want to give you an example. Sorry about that. I'm going to give you an example. There's a veteran here in town that his dad has always belonged to the Legion since he got out of the service in World War II, but this other young person, once in a while I would see him and just say something, I'm going to join the Legion. I'm not really interested. Well, here a couple of years ago, I went to his place of business for something else. And when I went to pick it up later, I said something about, would you like to join the Legion? No. So then we got to talking about his profession, and I said, how were you able to go to college to learn this profession? And he said, GI Bill. I said, really? You went to college on a GI Bill? Do you have any idea how the GI Bill of Rights came about? And he said, well, no. And I said, the GI Bill was written and authored by some past national commanders of the American Legion, one of which was Harry Culmer from the state of Kansas. They co-authored this GI Bill of Rights. If it wouldn't have been for the American Legion, the VFW, and the DAV getting together and saying, we need to have something that these veterans of military service can benefit by. So that's how the GI Bill came about. So this person was able to go to college on the GI Bill of Rights, and when I got finished with him that day, he wrote a check. He wrote a check. So you see, a lot of the younger people just don't realize. And the VA hospital in Wichita, who knows? That might have been closed a number of years ago had it not been for the veterans organizations fighting to keep those places in place. So we have access to those facilities as veterans.
In fact, it's one of the finer VA facilities in the Midwest.
Yeah.
Isn't it now?
That's right.
They've had their troubles, but it's doing very well now.
Now, it's interesting when you meant troubles, you know, this, is it the Walter Reed Hospital?
Yeah.
Yeah. See, that's not a VA hospital.
It's a military hospital.
Exactly. That is a military hospital.
Well, I think the fact that the one in Wichita is named after Bob Dole probably
Yeah.
is, that's a blessing.
Uh-huh. And you see the one in Topeka is named after Harry Comrie.
Okay.
And that's the one we were talking about.
Yeah.
It was a co-author of the GI Bill.
Sure, sure.
Yeah.
Well, Paul, we want to thank you very much for sharing your life story with us, and the ups and the downs. I, for one, wasn't aware that you had lived in Lindsborg all these
All
years.
my life.
You were on the road so much, I guess, there for
Yeah.
a period of time that it seemed like you lived someplace else. But
Yeah, and I was pretty busy and didn't see too much of me downtown, I guess.
one personal reflection I have is your dad and his potatoes.
Oh, yeah. Oh, my.
He would come over to our house, and boy, he'd take those potatoes out, and and
Yeah,
be,
yeah.
trying to get the dirt off of it, and showing
Right.
my mom, oh look, and I think
Yeah.
he'd even cut it open, and let her see it, and he'd do quite a sales job.
Oh, he
and
used
she'd
to
bought
raise-
lots of potatoes.
Yeah. He used to raise some, when we lived over here on Olson and McKinley,
Mhm.
excuse me, he always had a big garden. Well, we had to.
Oh yeah,
We had
for
to
the
have-
family, sure,
Yeah.
sure.
And then when we moved over to North Main Street,
North Main Street, yeah.
he used some land owned by somebody else to the south of our house, and he always had a big garden.
Now that lot now has a house on it, doesn't it?
Yes,
Where the
uh-huh.
garden was, yeah.
Yes,
Right.
right.
A huge garden. I remember that very well.
Oh, yeah, just a huge garden. He just worked and worked and worked on that. I can remember seeing him just covered with perspiration
Oh,
like
yeah.
I was yesterday out here. And work right out there in the sunshine.
Now, did your mother or father die first? Who were
My
the?
mother passed away in 1949 at the
49.
age of 63.
Oh my.
Yeah, she had an
Okay.
aneurysm, and yeah.
So then your father obviously lived on.
He lived on to be 83.
Did he?
Yeah.
Okay. So
83, yeah.
you're not the first one to be pushing that 80 mark, huh?
Yeah, I'll be 80 next June.
Yeah.
It just doesn't seem possible. So I keep telling that I'm on borrowed time because the national life expectancy
Right.
rate now is 77.8.
Yeah. Well, there have to be those who go over that in order to keep the number at 77.8.
I guess, yeah. But I really feel blessed. I really feel blessed to live this long. And as I think back, you remember Jimmy Cahoon?
No, I don't.
Okay.
No.
We had a swimming hole down here underneath the bridge. We had a swimming hole, and we'd go down there and swim in the buff. Well, some had trunks. I didn't have trunks.
Mm-hmm.
But we'd go down there, and I almost drowned there one day. I'll never, ever forget that. I was trying to touch ground, and when I did, the next step I took, my head popped out of the water.
Oh,
Almost drowned, and then I had one little, well, it wasn't little, but an experience over in Korea that I lost a truck that got mortar rounds hit
Oh, my.
to it. But I got out of the truck before they hit. But
Yeah.
what I'm saying is that could have been curtains for me too. But then another time, a vehicle thing. But that's why I feel blessed. Come on in, Martin. That's why I feel blessed. I really do. I really do.
well, you're a very unique individual and a Lindsborg treasure, and we appreciate having you here in this town. And as I say, you're the go-to guy on the flag, and we need somebody like that. And you're constantly working on something, Paul. You're like the ever-ready battery. You just keep going and going and going.
And by the way, I am a 30-year member of the Kiwanis Club.
Ah,
Yeah.
okay.
The past president of that.
Sure.
Yeah.
Well, thank you for
Been a
your
lot of
time.
fun. Well, thanks for
It's
asking
been a
me.
pleasure, sure.
As I told you
absolutely.
before, I'm not cheap when I do these things.